Hi everybody, this is Dave Vellante and welcome to our RSAC 2026 preview. Security is entering a new phase. The adversary we know is faster, more autonomous, adaptive, and increasingly intelligent, and they're scaling at unprecedented levels. The pace of AI innovation won't stop and brings new challenges. We're seeing novel intrusions show up in the wild, agentic hacks, automated reconnaissance, rapid iteration across targets and campaigns that humans simply cannot address without machines. You add in geopolitical volatility and critical infrastructure risk, and the response from defenders must not only be preventing breaches, but collaborating to ensure trust in the systems upon which societies rely. And this is why RSAC 2026 is such a critical event. This conference represents the world's authority for cybersecurity. It's where peers network, vendors get reality checked, policymakers meet operators, and the industry decides how to approach what's next. This year's theme is the power of community starts with you. Because ideas turn into strategy and actions when they're shared. Tough problems get solved when a committed community tackles them together. And theCUBE is proud to be back as a media partner with the good folks at RSAC. And to set the stage, I'm joined by two key leaders from RSAC, Linda Gray-Martin, Senior Vice President of RSAC Conference, and Britta Glades, SVP of Content and Communities at RSAC. Ladies, welcome. It's great to see you again.
Great to see you, and thank you for having us back. We appreciate it.
As you know, theCUBE loves the collaboration, and we're excited to be back at Moscone West on Media Row. And the theme this year, the power of community starts with you. It's a really practical theme. I wonder if you guys could talk about how you're making it easier for people to connect when they have a purpose. Is it spontaneous hallway conversations? Of course, that's where the magic is, but how do you guys see it? How have you designed this conference?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm glad we're starting there. And I'm glad you just gave a shout out to our theme, actually, the power of community, because it really is all about people, and how when we unite, we can really affect change. So as everyone is aware, I'm sure, RSAC is a really, really massive event. And helping people make connections, meaningful connections, helping them spark conversations with colleagues and peers and new contacts is super important. So we do have one new initiative this year that I just wanted to give a shout out to. We have a new connection hub, which is all about this. So for those of you familiar with the conference and the layout of Moscone, it's in Moscone West, where a lot of our track sessions are. And it's really designed for our all access pass holders to give them a space to do exactly what I just said, to meet people, to exchange ideas, to spark conversation, and also to learn, just in a slightly different format. And it's also a fun space. And I think some of the stuff we're providing in there will help people engage, but not feel forced, make it slightly more organic. So we're really excited about it.
Great, thank you. And Britta, I wonder, you are, one of the architects of much of the program. So if somebody asks you, like, what's the one thing that RSAC 2026 is really about? How should we think about that?
Boy, one thing, and your intro was fabulous. I'm going through, okay, there's a theme, there's a theme, there's a theme, and you really, you hit the nail on the head. Now more than ever, getting to this community of people, and the people understanding the impact of machines, of agents, of different ways things are happening. We need to have those people conversations, and we are so lucky to have so many experts from companies. We've got 534 different companies that have speakers that are there. So 534 different perspectives. So so many ways and means of people getting together. The other thing, Dave, that I'll add in that's super fun. We have our villages area, formerly known as Sandbox, but we've 8 villages there, and there is a group, the Pacific Hackers, who are actually helping with a cyber starter lounge. So akin to the connection hub that Linda highlighted over there. For that team, we want to make sure RSAC is this huge experience, but also how do we help the individuals, the people, connect on a one-to-one basis so that no one feels like they're on their own. And over there, that team will be making sure that every single individual is helped on an individual level.
As you point out, the magnitude of this conference is is amazing, but it's still intimate. I remember the first time I ever was at an RSAC, it was like, okay, there's a huge conference, but I don't feel like I'm overwhelmed. I mean, I am in the sense there's so much to do and so many choices, but it's a very comfortable setting. I don't know if that's because it's Moscone or maybe we're just comfortable with San Francisco, but one of the signature themes that always kind of threads through RSACs and in the keynotes is that trust starts with security. Security is an enabler, it's not a blocker. You've got sessions explicitly calling for security to be ambient. I love that, and autonomous, embedded everywhere, not bolted on. So you design the content, I think, around that community because people walk away, they want actionable guidance. I wonder if you could talk about that and what attendees can expect in that regard.
Bingo. And I love that you've honed in on that because actionability, actionability, actionability. There's so much going on, daily changes in our space, right? So we don't need to have that laundry list of here's a problem, here's a problem, here's a problem, figure it out on your own. That's what community is about. So these sessions, and we have over 150 program committee members, they're the true secret sauce here. These are the magical experts who are donating, their time, their expertise, going through session submissions that come in, making sure slides are very solid, making sure that once a session hits the stage, it is ready for prime time. It's ready for the audience at RSAC. And they do focus, as you said, on making sure action can be taken. And it's such an important time with the changes that have, that are entering in from an agentic world where you have coworkers that aren't human anymore. It's code that's making decisions. There are so many changes happening, by the second, frankly. So making sure that we have, direct and clear guidance on what should I do next week based on what I'm learning, next month, 2 months from now, how do I take what I learn at conference and infuse it in my organization at home for the benefit of the good?
Yeah. And just
That,
just to build on something, a question
please.
that you asked at the beginning about the kind of the welcoming community. I love that you said that because, I know one of the things I look forward to the most is just playing a helping hand in bringing this very passionate, vibrant, and hardworking community together. But I do think there is a warmth. People need people, right? People need people, and I I think our community, particularly and in our industry, that feeling is very prevalent. And I think that's an underlying thing, that an underlying theme that runs through the conference, if you will, because the excitement and the energy you feel when people get together at RSAC is like nothing else.
I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there was either a keynote or it was maybe a sub theme, or maybe the overall theme was the identity crisis. And I'm sure there's something you guys talk about a lot is identity. It's like frontline now with Britta, you were mentioning, humans and non-human humans, and you've got a keynote around AI powered identity and the threats exploiting human and non-human identities. And this idea of machines, it's a complicated matter. And then so collaboration is key. Are we
Right.
collaborating with machines, people? It's just a really interesting new dynamic that's introduced into the industry, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I have a particular passion in and around identity. So, I get excited anything in related to identity. But even Dave, backpedal that one into, a story that we all love to, because any story with good guys and bad guys becomes memorable. North Korea. We started to hear inklings of the North Korea worker infiltration, a couple years ago. Fast forward to now, and that's a human, but there's also some non-human identities in there. And how are companies approaching that? How are they identifying? What do they see? What are red flags that they can share with others? There's several sessions in and around the North Korea worker experience, but Cap One is one that I would point to. Andy Osmond's going to talk in particular detail about what did they see, how did they spot it, what advice would they have for others. That gets core to that identity theme. There's one of many of sessions. I always hate when I'm asked to pick a favorite. There are many good gems throughout, but so much good like Linda said, from a human to human level of sharing that happens at conference.
I remember I was listening, I think it was the Acquired podcast, and they had Jamie Dimon on, and they were asking him, what scares you, what keeps you up at night? It wasn't anything about financials or his balance sheet. He said cybersecurity is what I worry most about. And he talked about, the geopolitical tensions and critical infrastructure. And conference is one of the most important places where these conversations, because you've got vendors there, you've got practitioners, you got national security voices. I mean, I'll pick out a few. I know, there's so many, and we're going to obviously have to leave some out, but I noticed CUBE alum, General Keith Alexander is going to be there, Paul Nakasone, Chris Inglis, and many others. You guys have a serious lineup. Can you walk us through the arc of the sort of main stage program? Monday, I think, is framed as, AI. Obviously, it's the driving force now in the industry. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, you get more into the sort of operationalizing things like zero trust and accountability questions. And then, of course, you guys are celebrating an anniversary, which is amazing.
Yes.
Congratulations. I wonder if you could talk through all that.
Sure. So let me start with the main stage from the keynote perspective, and Britta will dig more into the YBCA stage, our second stage over at the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts. So, as you said, AI plays a very, very big role in many of our keynotes, particularly from our sponsors this year, quite rightly. So we start on the Monday afternoon. We'll actually hear from our executive chairman, Hugh Thompson, which is great. He will be kicking things off. And then on the Monday, we also hear from Vasuja Kaul from Microsoft, Jitu Patel from Cisco, and Sandra Joyce from Google Cloud, and then George Kurtz will be keynoting on the Tuesday morning. So we've got a very strong sponsor lineup, and that's just a few of the names. All the details we released yesterday in a press release about our keynote program. And then I just wanted to mention a few of the guest keynote speakers we have, because I know I say this every year, but I am really excited about the lineup that we have this year. I think we've got something for everybody. Some really heavy hitting speakers, some really meaningful messages as well. We like to do something a little bit different with our guest speakers, I think, just to really offer our attendees a completely different perspective that's not necessarily security related, but just there's something within the realm of what people do and that they can understand. So the Tuesday morning, we are really thrilled to welcome the Right Honourable Dame Jacinda Ardern, who is the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. I'm super excited about this. She's one of the youngest world leaders that there has ever been. She is going to be speaking about empathetic leadership and managing through crisis. She is going to be taking part in a fireside chat with Jen Easterly, the new CEO of RSAC, which is super exciting. Then on Wednesday, we have Adam Savage, who a lot of people will know from Mythbusters. He's also a scientist and an educator. He's going to be talking about how a maker's mindset can shape and improve our work as cyber professionals. He wrote a book called Every Tool is a Hammer, and I think there's some really interesting points he makes within that book that are really going to resonate with our audience. And then we have Michael Lewis, who I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. He is a #1 New York Times bestselling author. He's written many, many things, famously Moneyball and The Big Short and many others. And he is really renowned for seeing what others might miss and making complex worlds understandable. Obviously, we are working and living in a complex world, so I think it's going to really resonate with people. And then a big shout out to our friends from SANS, who are going to be hosting their annual panel, which provides attendees with a briefing on the most dangerous new attacks out there, what's coming next, and what people need to do to keep everything and themselves and their companies safe. So we have got a phenomenal lineup. And Britta, I thought I would leave it to you, as I've been talking for a while here, to talk about our closing celebration. I did just want to say, as you mentioned, we have an anniversary. It is our 35th anniversary this year.
Wow.
Which we're all super excited about. So the first RSAC was in 1991. I'd like to say I wasn't around then, but that wouldn't be true. But it consisted of just one panel session and 50 cryptographers. And now you look at it today, and I think, Britta and I both get really excited that we've had, the opportunity to be involved for many years at this point, and how lucky are we? So yeah, it's very exciting. So Britta, big reveal. Well, not the big reveal, I think people know, but some more information on the closing celebration would be great.
Yeah,
Right?
congratulations too on the 35-year anniversary. I remember reading about the first one. I didn't attend, but wow, what a run. Please, Britta.
Well,
Yeah.
it's great. And what I like about that, Dave, which is what you honed in on exactly, is the individuals. And we truly believe we serve a community. We serve a community. And this community, we try to make ourselves better and better and better so that we can build and build and build and assist. And, no one's going to miss the closing celebration. Hugh Jackman, if you can think of an individual who has something for everyone, he can sing, he can dance, he can be a Marvel superhero. He really is an amazing performer, but as importantly, an amazing individual. When you look at some of his philanthropic work and other things that he has done to build communities, there is no better person to bring in front of our RSAC audience. So we are thrilled to death to have Hugh in the closing keynote.
Amazing, and I love the fact that you mentioned George Kurtz and Jitu Patel. They're coming on our CXO series. We do an annual,
Excellent.
CXO and cyber. Jay Chaudhry's coming on. Nick Schneider from Arctic Wolf is going to be there. Nikesh hasn't confirmed yet, but it's in process. So super excited to have those guys come back. And wow, Michael Lewis, one of my favorite books, Flash Boys.
Oh,
He can
yeah.
get technical. Amazing
Yay.
lineup as usual. I want to help people plan their week.
Yeah.
So many people I talk to go to RSAC, and I'll say like, "Well, how's the show?" But I don't know. I was in a room all day, and just we had meeting after meeting after meeting. So I would encourage people, if it's your first time, make time to walk around, check out the exhibits. They're amazing. Obviously, if you're a practitioner, there's just so much to choose from in terms of the content, and also the evenings are amazing. So
Yeah.
what would you guys recommend
Yeah.
for folks that haven't attended RSAC before?
Wow. There's so much going on, as you said. I think the biggest piece of advice that we always give is to just try and spend a little bit of time before you come to the San Francisco and the conference, just really going through our website, look at the full session agenda. There's different ways you can filter on the sessions and the tracks that you'd like to attend. Look at the expo and all the information we have on our website, and try and make a bit of a plan before you come, because I think by doing that, you're going to have a much more efficient and effective experience. Things like, the sessions that you want to go to, reserve a seat in them. Our reserve a seat functionality is live. You can go online, you can click on the ones that you want to go to, you can add them to your schedule. We do get some sessions that get close to selling out. And we want to make sure people can get into what they want. There's obviously a little bit of turnover at the conference itself, and you can always turn up if you haven't reserved a seat, and we let people in if there's still space. But it's all about the forward planning, I think. That would be my biggest tip.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
please, Britta.
Oh yeah. No, and I was going to say also what I love about how people attack conference is they also look at, what do I as an individual want to learn, but what can I take back to my organization? So have that conversation with your work colleagues, have that conversation with others in your circles, because there's a divide and conquer opportunity that can happen. And the goodness of conference is it also all rolls into the membership library. These great sessions that are delivered at conference for 30 days, they'll be available for people who were attendees at conference, and then it rolls into the service of the community at large that we keep going back to. How do we better inform and protect the community globally? So all of this good content that is put together by these over 700 speakers, that's going to be available out there for the benefit of the whole.
And Linda, I'm glad you mentioned the SANS. And Britta, you talked about the North Korean subterfuge. I remember a couple of years ago, I was at a security after dark where I saw that, my jaw dropped. And so this most dangerous new attack techniques, I mean, that is a can't miss, because we've now got multiple agents, and we're going to see, novel attacks and Hugh Jackman. I love it. We've got Wolverine and Jean Valjean, right?
Right? In one person? Does it get better than that?
And then the other thing that I'm really looking forward to is the discussion around SOC transformation. The life of a SOC analyst is changing, with AI. I know I've had, like, for instance, Ali Mellon from Forrester has been on, so that's a big part of her research. And I think it's a really important sort of area for folks to sort of think about. I'm super excited about that. My last question for you guys is, after it's all done, other than the fact that, wow, we got through it again, how do you, rate the success? What does success look like when you think about RSAC 2026? What makes you say at the end, we did what we wanted to do and what the community needed? What does that look like?
Well, we do a lot of surveying. I mean, obviously, you walk away with anecdotal feedback. As you go through the week, you understand what's worked, what we need to maybe tweak following years. But we do do a lot of surveying, and we take our feedback really, really seriously, good, bad, and ugly, honestly, because that's what helps make us better, and it helps us shape the next year. So if you are listening to this and you get a survey to complete, please fill it out, because it really does help us. And like I said, we take it super seriously. And RSAC takes a year to plan from start to finish. So pretty much as soon as we finish one, we start thinking about the next. We have a massive big team event in May where we really start pulling apart everything and thinking about what we can do the next year. So that feedback is super important to us.
Wow, you don't waste time. Britta, we'll give you the last word, please.
Oh goodness. And I love, yeah, there's the official quantitative response from Linda. The qualitative, to me, it's the buzz, it's the conversations, it's the
Right.
excitement, it's the sparks, it's the, oh my gosh, you change. I get so excited, Dave, and I literally read every single one of those verbatims that come in. So if you write a little note to me, I'll write a little note back to you. But I love when I hear, and inevitably every year this comes through, this single session was worth the price I paid. You've just changed entirely how I've thought about how I set up my organization, how I talk to my board, how I hire. It's the people, it's the individuals, it's the change that we know that our community affects upon one another. That's how we evaluate success. And it's so exciting. And I cannot wait for March 23rd when we kick it off in San Francisco.
Well, Linda and Britta, thank you so much. We are just grateful and honored to be partners with conference RSAC 2026. I mean, it is built for the moment that we're in. You got adversaries that we talked about moving faster, new type of attacks, geopolitical risks, and I think the theme says it all. The power of community starts with you. So if you're in security, this is the week where you want to come to learn, contribute, share your ideas, collaborate, network with colleagues. CUBE, of course, is going to be on site at Moscone West on Media Row. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in San Francisco, March 23rd to 26th. I'm Dave Vellante. We'll see you next time on theCUBE.